Hey guys, my name is Brett Henry. I'm the broker and owner of Simple Choice Real Estate. I'm doing this case study on a house I just sold in Orem to show the net difference between the traditional 6% model and how most agents do things versus a real life example of my business model and the actual results that we got for this client. Now, I know everyone's going to say, well, there could be, different factors, or this agent could have done this, or this could have done that. I'm just going off of averages of what most agents' average is. If you're wondering what's on my face, it's my DJI mic, so hopefully you can hear me a little bit better. But anyways, this is a house I sold in Norm. It was one of my buddy's homes. They called me. And we're like, hey, we need to sell our house. We're moving to Texas. I'm like, great. When do you want to put it up? They're like, today. So we hurried and rushed everything, got it up for sale. I'm just going to go through our marketing plan, go through the seller net sheet, and show you guys what we did, even though usually I like a little bit more lead in time to list a home, but I can make stuff happen in like 24 hours if needed. And so, yeah, we're going to go through this. I'm going to share my screen and we'll show you my marketing plan, then the seller's net, the listing, and kind of go from there. So let me log in and share the screen. Okay, you guys should be able to see the whole screen now. So I'm going to go into this listing first. So here's the house that we sold. Um, this one was a tough one to comp out because there'd been a whole bunch of homes in the neighborhood that had gone up for sale the past year, and none of them have sold. They all expired. They're all were canceled or withdrawn. They are all between 1.3 to 1.4 million. And so we were kind of like, man, what do we do? Where do we start? Because they were all very similar square footage. But his home was just it's very well done. If you knew this seller, like everything is top of the line. So I'm like, okay, let's start out on the high end at 1.4 and just see what happens. So this is a listing you can see as days on market. It was just on the market 5 days. Most of that was honestly just sorting through offers and figuring out which one we were going to go under contract with. And then you can see I was a listing agent and I was a buyer's agent. So we were able to save them all of those fees. And so now I'll dive into kind of the marketing strategy, what we went with, and go from there. So our marketing plan is he called me up, said, hey, I want to sell my house. I'm like, great, I need to come do a walkthrough. So I went over there like within 2 hours, did a walkthrough of their house and went back, crunched numbers, and said, okay, I'm guessing, I mean, we're going to be somewhere between 1.35 to 1.4. How aggressive do you want to be? And they're like, let's just go 1.4 and just see what happens. So we started out kind of absolute top dollar, which personally, I love starting out there. We can always go down. It's really hard to go up. And so that's where we started out. Um, and then what I had them do is once we determine that price, I had them reach out to everyone in their SOI or their sphere of influence, everybody that they know, their neighborhood, their people on social media, and said, hey, we're selling our house. If you guys want the house off market, come buy it before we list it. If we buy it, if we list it, then there's going to be more competition and the price will probably go up. So they called, told everyone in their neighborhood, hey, we're selling it for this. We did get one offer from a neighbor, but they had to sell their home. And so they're just like, we're really not wanting to wait for them to sell their home. But this is great because we went into listing the home without we listed the home with an offer in hand, so we were able to tell people that when they came to see it, like, we already have an offer on this. Now most agents won't do this because guess what, if you sell your house before they have a listing agreement, they're most likely not getting paid. Now, with my plan, if you guys find a buyer beforehand, like I have another one of my buddies in Lehigh that we're doing this for, I'll do all the paperwork for just 19.95. I do this like 2, 3 times a month for people because it's not a huge burden for me. It's just literally doing paperwork, couple hours worth of paperwork for $2,000. I'm happy. They're happy. They're saving buyer's agent fees. I mean, they're saving tons of money. So we did have this option, but we wanted to see if we could get more and get an offer that wasn't subject to the sale of someone's house. So I am like the only agent I know that will actually do something like this. Just about every agent's going to make you sign a 3 to 6% listing agreement before and not tell you to go talk to your neighbors. So that's a huge benefit I feel like with my program is let's see if we can sell it off market. If we sell it off market, it's a win for both of us. Um, so next step, we put it up for sale. Um, and because we reviewed the offer, we're like, it's subject to the sale of a home. I think we could do a little bit better. So we put it up on the market. Um, Usually, when I list a home, I like to get pictures like on Monday or Tuesday, put the listing up on Wednesday or Thursday evening where you can see down here that I'm showing. And and then we have an open house on that Saturday. This one was really tight because they literally like called me that day and like, hey, we want to get it up. So I was over there the next day at 11 a.m. taking pictures. I have a professional photographer I usually use, but usually they're like 3 to 5 days out, and we just didn't have that time benefit. So I went over there and took pictures. I can do really good pictures. It's just I prefer to use my photographer because my pictures like 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. His are always a 10 out of 10. So, uh, but anyways, we went over there, got pictures, got it up for sale, and started showing the property. Now we market this property everywhere: social media, the MLS, Zillow. The big one on this one is yard sale groups. The buyer actually came from my social media. It's one of my friends and past clients. My mic's gonna fall off here, so I'll try not to jump around too much. But this came from my social media. So the buyer came from my social media. She messaged me, is like, holy crap, I want this house. And so usually we hold the open house on Saturday for a 2 hour window. And we try to make this sound like this will be the first showings. Ideally, it will be the first showings, especially if you have kids, because then you don't have to clean your house 47 times. You can clean it once, get it ready for the 2 hours, and be done with it. But the benefit of this is if people call and want to see it beforehand, they feel like they're doing something special. They're just like, yes, I'm getting in this house before anyone else. And really, what it does is it prompts them to make a really good offer. Now, this one, we already had an offer in hand, and the buyer wanted it before the open house. So she actually made a really strong offer. I mean, it ended up, we went under contract at $20,000 over list price. Um, and before the open house, we actually had two other offers come in as well. One of them was like 1.45 million, but they had a buyer's agent. They wanted some closing costs, and they were really trying to pressure the seller into just signing it. And they didn't want to, because I don't work like that. Like, somebody tells me I have to do something, I'm like, pound sand. I don't care if it costs me money. I'm not going to do it just because you told me you have to. But anyways, we had multiple offers. We held the open house. I think we had like 14 or 15 groups through this open house. It was super busy. One of the other things we did at this open house, I've just started doing this recently, is we have a QR code, and we actually give away like $100 Amazon gift card. This has been great because we actually get good information from people because they want to win the gift card. And so every open house we do, we give away a $100 Amazon gift card. I think that day we did like 6 open houses between me and my other agent. So we gave away like $600 in Amazon gift cards. But it was great because we got legitimate information that we could follow up with the buyers and actually get feedback from them, see if they're interested. And so we ended up with like 4 or 5 offers on this property. And the one that just made the most sense, I mean, it gave the seller everything they wanted. They got the highest net possible because we came in above list price. We didn't have to pay a buyer's agent. They weren't asking for closing costs. And the big benefit of this is they got 10 days to move out after closing because this was a really quick turnaround transaction. Usually most buyers want keys on recording. So you go under contract, the day you sign papers, it usually funds and records the next day. That's the day you got to be out. Well, one of the big perks with this offer that we were able to get is they said, okay, we'll give you 10 days to move out after closing. And so the sellers are super excited about that. And they should be out. They're going to be out like this coming week. So, yeah, everything just lined up and it was great for the sellers. But we'll go down here. So we collected all the offers, sent out highest and best notices, and it's always good to send out a highest and best notice to everyone just so they know. But I always like this part here: negotiate privately as well. I really enjoy going back to each of the individual parties and telling them. I usually try to make a list of like, hey, if the seller had an ideal offer, this is what it would be. And with these guys, it was low fees, high net, which just about everyone is. And then their big one was time to move out after closing. And some of our offers weren't willing to do that. And sometimes people aren't, like, they're like, no, I'm not going to let you stay in there after I close. The day I close, I want keys. Um, and so these buyers made their earnest money hard really quick. They did 1%. So it was like $14,000 earnest money. It went hard really quick. and the seller got to stay in the property 10 days after closing. So it's like, I mean, the only thing that could have been better is like a cash offer, but these guys were super solid in their financing. So that's why we ended up going with them and ended up closing right on time. Um, and so we ended up going under contract with them. And then here's the seller's net. And I'm going to go through this. Now, again, I know everyone's going to be like, oh, the listing agent could have done this if they did that, or even if they're doing the 6% model. But I mean, I'll just tell you, like, there's great agents out there. I'm not the only one. There's a lot of great agents out there, but there's also a lot of lazy agents out there. And so I feel like with my marketing plan, even though this is a really short turnaround, we were still able to execute and get everything we want. So I'm just going to go over like the traditional seller's net if they're doing a 6% model, and then go over like how this one actually broke down. So seller's net listed at 1.399. Let's say they got a full price offer. Great. We got a full price offer looking great. 3% the listing agents, $42,000 essentially. 3% the buyer's agent, $42,000. That's like $84,000 in fees, 83,000 and some change. That's a ton of money. I mean, that's a really, really nice car. And then you have your title insurance fees. Usually in Utah, it's around 0.5% of the sales price. This one, we were able to get them a reissue rate, and that's something else I'll talk about in a minute when we go over the other side. But usually it's around 0.5% of the sales price. So 6,500 for title insurance, $400 title closing fee. Their portion of the year's property taxes was about 2,500 bucks. Most agents around here charge a transaction fee. It's usually around $799. And then a 1 year home warranty, which is, it's a 9-year-old home. That's pretty standard. That's not a big deal. Most homes in this price range are usually paying somewhere between $10,000 to $20,000 towards buyer's closing costs. This one, we didn't pay any towards buyer's closing costs. So just if you listed with a 6% model, got a full price offer, buyer only asking for 10 grand in closing costs, most people think that's pretty good. That's what your net would end up, 1.294 million, which honestly, like, isn't terrible. They did good, but I mean, that's a large gap between 1.4. I mean, that's over $100,000. So then we have my list price. My list price 1.399, and it is actually 1.399,500. I forgot to put that 500 in there, but it doesn't matter. It's 500 bucks. So we ended up with an offer at 1.42, so $20,000 over list price, which is great. Fees, here's a big one. This one was my 1% listing fee. So they only paid $14,000 in fees. Now, a lot of you, or if you're not in the real estate game, you're just like, $14,000 is a ton of money for real estate. $14,000 is like a 1% fee on this price of a home is awesome. Like they hit a home run with this. And the other big part, I found the buyer, so they paid zero buyer's agent commission. I mean, that's like between the normal 2.5% to 3% most agents try to get. That's a huge chunk of money. That's 40 grand. Title insurance, I actually made a video about this, and this specific seller said, no, I want you to call and find a title company that'll give me a reissue rate. Um, because I saw your video because I made a video about reissue rates. And so this one we were able to get title insurance is about 4,400 bucks. So we saved them a little bit there. Title closing fees, we saved them 50 bucks on their closing fee. Not a huge deal, but every penny counts. Property taxes, it's a government. There's nothing you can do to save on property taxes. My transaction fee is only $495. 1 year home warranty. So I mean that saves a couple hundred bucks there. 1 year home warranty, that's pretty standard for this size of a house. And then towards buyers closing costs. We had $0 towards buyers closing costs. And so that's another huge benefit is we didn't have to pay any money towards buyers closing costs. So their net ended up being 1.397 million. So I mean that's a $103,000 difference versus the traditional 6% model. Now, if you took a lot of this stuff out, like, okay, say the other agent got an offer 20,000 above list price, awesome. Say they got them the reissue rate, say they got them, they didn't have to pay any closing costs or anything. We're still like 5% on this is what, 70 something thousand dollars. There's still a huge gap here. Just the buyer's agent fees or just the agent fees on here are over $70,000 difference. And so that's a huge chunk of this is the listing agent fee and the buyer's agent fee. And I mean, there's people who pay 6% to sell their home all the time in this price range. So this is not uncommon for our market is to pay, 6% to sell your home. So, I mean, this is $103,000 net income difference at closing just by doing my smart seller program and doing these few little things. I mean, I really think like my marketing plan really paid off. We had an offer going into it before we even listed it, which helped us put that pressure on all the other buyers to give us good offers. Then we let some of the buyers in before the open house, which made them feel even more pressure to give us a good offer. Because if they're not giving us a good offer, why the heck are we going to go under contract with them? We'll just move forward with the open house. And then we had the open house and had a ton of people through, got a lot of good contact information, got more offers after the open house. And we're able, I feel like the open house portion just really gave them the ability to stay in their house 10 days after closing, which I don't know about you guys, but trying to pack up a house in 3 weeks, and especially this is like a 6,000 square foot house, trying to pack up a 6,000 square foot house in 3 weeks and move is stressful enough. But then, the buyer's earnest money went hard pretty quick too. So they had 14 grand knowing, okay, this thing goes south. At least I got 14 grand in my pocket. Um, and most buyers' earnest money doesn't go hard until like a week before closing. So realistically, if they want keys on recording, you have a week where their earnest money's hard. There's a lot to pack in a week to move out of a house, especially one this size. Just any kind of house that's stressful. So, anyways, I hope this helps somebody, gives somebody some ideas. Even if you don't work with me, even if you aren't in Utah, I'd love to help you out. I have a smart seller program where my listing structure ranges anywhere from 1% to 2.99%. I have a middle option that's usually 1.99%, and that's what 95% of my clients end up going with is my 1.99% option, which is a full service listing. It just doesn't offer staging or like home repairs beforehand, but I can get you in contact with all my contractors. This home didn't need any of that, so it's like why would I ask them to pay for that stuff that they don't need? Again, I feel like I'm kind of a rare exception in the real estate industry. A lot of people are really hard pressing salesmen. That's not me. Well, another big thing that sticks out about me is I do not make you sign a long-term listing agreement. And I'm one of the few agents who will do that. So you can literally cancel with 1 day's notice if you're not 100% happy with what I'm doing in my services. And I know you guys are going to be happy with me. And if not, you're not stuck with me and relist with anyone the next day. So I appreciate you watching. I hope you got something informative. If you want more info, shoot me an email, a DM. There should be a link below this that you can go and request more information. I'd be happy to call and talk with you, give you a value on your house. I've been doing this for 20 years, full time. So I'd love to help you out. And thanks. Hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see you later. Yeah.